So about 5 years ago, I, 31, met my girlfriend Karen, 29. It was a bit of a tough time for her back then because she had just left her abusive boyfriend. To make things better, she moved back in with her parents along with her little child. You see, Karen had to drop out of college during her senior year because her ex-boyfriend got her pregnant. It was a really rough situation since he was not only cheating on her, but also physically abusive. Eventually, she mustered the courage to leave him, and that's when our paths crossed. It's a bit of a funny story, actually. Angie, one of Karen's sorority sisters, ended up marrying my friend Dave. And through this connection, Angie introduced me to Karen. We hit it off right away and started dating. Before long, Karen and her son, Bobby, moved in with me, and those initial years together were pretty awesome. The first few years were great. I got her to go back and finish her degree, and my dad got her a job where he works. Around a year and a half back, Karen reconnected with some of her sorority sisters, and they started having girls' night out every other Saturday. She also began having drinks with her coworkers after work occasionally. When I brought up my concerns about this, she became defensive, and it led to arguments between us. Angie told her husband Dave that Karen was flirting a lot when they were out, to the point it started to bother her, and Dave gave me a heads up about it. Karen apologized, admitting that she had too much to drink and got carried away. However, I felt that wasn't enough to resolve the issue. I told her that if we were going to continue our relationship, we needed to attend counseling together and work through these problems. Obviously, the girls' night out was over for a while, and we made progress and things got better. Around 2 months back, I noticed some odd behavior from Karen that raised suspicions. She became overly protective of her phone, leaving the room whenever she used it and acting paranoid. When I tried to talk to her about it, she evaded the conversation and insisted that nothing was wrong. Feeling troubled by this, I decided to confide in our mutual friends, Angie and Dave, about my concerns. Finally, Angie revealed that Karen had been in touch with an ex-boyfriend from her college days. It was a shocking revelation. This particular ex was the guy she dated before her abusive ex-boyfriend. Navigating through this situation has been tough, but knowing the extent of the involvement has brought some clarity to the issue. So, one of Karen's sorority sisters asked her to be a bridesmaid at her wedding, which was a big deal for both of us. We had everything planned out to attend the 3-day event together. However, things took an unexpected turn when Bobby developed an ear condition and needed to have tubes installed. It meant he couldn't fly, so I volunteered to stay back and take care of him while Karen went to the wedding. Throughout the event, I was back home with Bobby, making sure he was okay, while Karen attended the rehearsal dinner, bachelorette party, shower, and the main wedding day. Then things took a shocking turn when Dave, Karen's friend and Angie's husband, called me. He told me that Karen's old boyfriend had shown up at the wedding, and the two of them were hanging out and acting inappropriately. To my disbelief, he even sent me some photos, including a short video of them making out at the hotel. It was an incredibly tough situation to deal with, especially since I was at home taking care of Bobby while this was happening. The whole ordeal left me feeling hurt and betrayed, and it's something we've been trying to work through ever since. I reached out to Karen's father and asked if he could watch Bobby so that I could make the long drive down to attend the wedding. On my way out of town, I dropped Bobby off with him and took off on the 6-hour journey. It was quite a tiring drive, and I finally arrived late in the evening. When I got to Karen's room at the wedding venue, I could hear laughter coming from inside. I knocked on the door, but it took 3 attempts before Karen finally opened it. To my shock, she was wearing a robe, and there was a guy naked in her bed. I introduced myself to him and suggested he leave the room immediately. Then I turned to Karen, who was undressed beneath her robe, and demanded an explanation. Initially, Karen got angry and started making excuses. She even went as far as making unfounded accusations. I reached a breaking point and firmly declared that I had enough. I told her that our relationship was over. I announced my decision to leave, emphasizing that if she wanted to come back, she would need to gather her things and leave my life. As I walked back into the hallway, I realized that there were about a dozen people present, including Angie. It dawned on me that we hadn't closed the door to the room, and our heated exchange must have provided quite a spectacle for everyone around us. I drove back home and arrived just as the sun was rising. I was exhausted, so I crashed and slept hard. The next morning, I started packing up all of Karen's belongings. When I came across her lingerie drawer and the party and club wear we had bought together, I decided to put those items in a separate box, along with some other things, and donated them to Goodwill. A few days later, Karen's flight returned, and she tried to call me from the airport, but her number was still blocked. As a result, she had to Uber back to our place. When she walked in, she was met with over a dozen boxes filled with all of her and Bobby's belongings, ready to go. I informed her that Bobby was already at her parents' house, and she could call her dad to help her move the rest of her stuff to wherever she planned on staying. Despite her attempts to talk her way out of the situation and load her suitcases into the car, I stood firm. Both cars were in my name, so I let her know that if she tried to take one of them, I would report it as stolen. Eventually, her dad arrived, and I explained briefly why we were breaking up. Although he didn't say much, we shook hands before he left. The breakup was tough, but I knew it was the right decision for both of us. It's been a week since all that happened. Since then, Dave and Angie have decided to cut contact with Karen because our drama overshadowed their wedding ceremony the next day. Despite everything, Karen has been trying to reach out, and we've talked a few times. However, I've made it clear that there's no way for us to get back together. OP, I'm really sorry to hear about what you've been through. It's understandable that you're feeling a mix of emotions right now. What you did by standing up for yourself and making the decision to end things with Karen was the right thing to do. You deserve to be with someone who respects and values you. Moving on from a situation like this takes time, but I'm confident that you'll eventually find happiness and peace. It's important to give yourself the space to heal and surround yourself with supportive friends and family. Remember, you made the choice that was best for your well-being, and you deserve to be in a healthy and fulfilling relationship. Take things one day at a time, and in time, you'll find yourself in a better place. Now let's get into our second story for today. My wife, 32 female, has always been my biggest supporter, especially when it comes to my DJing career. It's actually how we first met back in 2011 at a school event where I was starting out as a DJ in our town. The moment we started talking, we just clicked. We had so much in common, from our interests to our taste in music and favorite bands. At first, we decided to hang out as friends, but before long, we knew there was something more between us, and we started dating. Fast forward to 2013, we got engaged, and to celebrate, we took a trip together. We often reminisce about that trip, where we listened to the entire Third Eye Blind catalog and sang along to all the songs. That year, we tied the knot and got married. Throughout our marriage, we developed this special tradition of trying to see our favorite band, Third Eye Blind, as often as possible. We made it a point to attend their concerts whenever they were on tour, and over the course of our 9-year marriage, we managed to catch them 9 times. It's been a fantastic journey filled with shared passions and great memories. Last night was supposed to be our 10th time seeing our favorite band. Can you believe it? We've been married for 10 years as well, and our anniversary is just around the corner in November. I had this amazing plan all set up for us. We'd go to the concert, stay at a nice hotel, and have a super romantic night together. And to top it all off, I got her a beautiful custom necklace made of gold with her name on it and her favorite lyrics engraved. I'd been saving my entire salary for the past year just for this special gift, and I knew she would absolutely adore it. So, on Friday night, the big day arrived, the day of the concert and our 10th anniversary celebration. When I got back home from work, I found my wife getting ready, looking as stunning as ever. I was all excited to give her the necklace and the concert tickets, so I went to my work laptop bag where I kept them. But then I noticed her phone on the table, and it had a notification buzzing. I couldn't resist my curiosity, so I tapped on the message. The text was from an unknown number, and it said, "How was today? I miss you so much. When can I see you again?" Man, it was such a shock for me, and my chest felt this weird, heavy feeling when I saw that message on her phone. I couldn't help but scroll through their chat, and with every message I read, I got more and more disgusted with my wife. I mean, how could she do this to me? That was the only question running through my mind. The worst part was when she mentioned him needing condoms, and he replied to it with a picture of a pack of condoms in his car, with the caption saying, "Already." It made me wonder if they even used any, but honestly, at this point, does it even matter? I didn't want to stay in the house a minute longer, so I grabbed my work bag, which had the concert tickets and the necklace I got her. I needed some space to process what was happening before I confronted her about it, so I hopped in the car and drove straight to the concert. I had spent a lot of money on those VIP tickets, so I figured I might as well make use of them. About 15 minutes into the drive, my wife called me, sounding surprised and annoyed at the same time. She asked where I was and what I was up to. Can you believe the audacity she had to ask me that? I was so angry that I told her I was on my way to the show, since she already had her fun private show in the afternoon. There was silence on the other end, but I was too furious to carry on the conversation, so I just hung up. I was still in shock and couldn't believe what I had just discovered. At that moment, I was feeling numb, like I didn't know what to feel. Then she called me back, and it was like she was going through the motions. She started crying and tried to explain that they were just friends and that nothing actually happened between them. But I couldn't take her excuses anymore. I felt like she never respected me or truly loved me the way I loved her. It all just spilled out, and I reminded her how I went all out to get her an expensive gift for our special anniversary. She got quiet, and then suddenly she acted like she was crying and asked what I got her. It felt like she was trying to manipulate me into feeling sorry for her and forgiving her. I was done with her lies and drama at that point. I told her to leave me alone and be with whoever she wanted to be with. But she insisted that we talk about it like adults and wanted me to come back as if I'm the childish one for having stormed out. I saw through her plan, though. She was going to act innocent, make me feel guilty, and then try to seduce me. And honestly, just the thought of it disgusted me. I never thought I'd feel that way about my wife and the idea of being intimate with her. It was all just too much. So I made it to the concert, and when I handed my ticket to the guy at the entrance, he looked at me and said, "There's two," meaning he needed to scan the other ticket too. I must have been in a daze or something because I just stared at him blankly and replied, "Yes, there's two," and then walked inside. It was like I was in some weird trance or hypnotized or something. Anyway, the show was incredible. I had a blast and really enjoyed myself. I even ended up making friends with some cool people in my row, and we all had a great time together, singing along to the songs. But I have to admit, some of the lyrics hit me differently that night, considering everything that was going on. During the concert, I felt so alive. I danced and screamed along with the crowd, and it was like a release for all the frustrations I was feeling. The loud rock music drowned out everything else, and it was just what I needed. When the concert ended, it was still pretty early, and I thought about sitting at the bar and having a drink, but the idea of talking to someone outside of the concert context just felt overwhelming. My mind kept going back to those texts and what I had discovered, and it was hard to shake off those thoughts. So, after the concert, I headed to the hotel where I had made a reservation for my wife and me. But there I was, sleeping alone. When I woke up, my inbox was flooded with about 30 emails from her. It seemed like she had been up all night, going through a roller coaster of emotions. Guilt, shame, and even anger. Surprisingly, some of her emails were filled with anger towards me for going through her phone. It was surreal to read those, as if I was the one in the wrong. She pleaded and bargained, leaving voice messages expressing her surprise that I had gotten her an expensive gift, which she found out by going through my emails. She begged me to answer her calls and wanted us to talk things out, hoping we could salvage our anniversary night and make it memorable. That night turned out to be unforgettable, but not in the way I had imagined. It was when I finally saw the true colors of the person I had been married to, even though it took me nearly 12 years to fully realize it. The worst part was when she sent me all the cards I had written for her over the years, anniversary cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards. I always poured my heart into those cards, expressing my deep love for her. It was something I had never done for anyone else before, and she used to write such heartfelt cards for me too, although she hadn't done so in years. I think her intention was for me to read those cards and have my heart soften to remember how much I loved her. She hoped that I would come to my senses, reach out to her, and that we would talk things through, leading to forgiveness and a better future together. But instead, reading those cards made me realize just how little she loved me. It was a painful realization. That night, as heartbreaking as it was, opened my eyes to who my wife truly was, despite us being together for nearly 12 years. I realized that I needed to come to terms with the situation and decide what was best for both of us moving forward. OP, I want you to know that my heart goes out to you. Discovering infidelity can be incredibly painful, and it's understandable that you're feeling shocked and hurt right now. But please remember that healing takes time. You deserve better than someone who betrays your trust and disregards your love. It's tough to accept, especially after being together for so long, but sometimes we discover the true colors of the people we thought we knew well. Be gentle with yourself as you process these emotions. Surround yourself with supportive friends and family who can offer a listening ear and help you through this challenging time. Remember that you deserve happiness and a relationship built on trust and mutual respect. Stay strong. You deserve a brighter future ahead. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care.